Hello, everyone, and welcome to our info session today on nonprofit and voluntary sector management. My name is Bushra Chaudhry, and I am the manager of recruitment and sales for the Chang School. Before we get started, I'd like to acknowledge the land on which Toronto Metropolitan University is built upon. Toronto is in the Dish with One Spoon territory. The Dish with One Spoon is a treaty between the Anishinaabe, Mississaugas, and Haudenosaunee that bound them to share the territory and protect the land. I thank the Indigenous peoples of Turtle Island for their efforts to protect the land, and I deeply regret the past injustices they have endured. As Toronto Metropolitan University seeks to move forward in partnership with Indigenous peoples, I pledge to foster an environment that is more inclusive and welcoming of Indigenous peoples from all communities. Now I'd like to go over a few items so you know how to participate in today's session. Your microphone is muted throughout the event so as not to disturb other attendees or the presenters. For the hearing impaired, we have automated captioning available, which you can access by activating it in the toolbar at the bottom of your screen. You can submit your questions for our speakers at any time by typing them into the question box in your control panel, and we'll collect them throughout the session and address them at the end of the presentation. I'd like to now introduce our speakers for today, Junie Facey, Academic Coordinator for Nonprofit Certificate, and Ben Liatsky, Course Instructor at the Chang School. Welcome all. Now, before we invite Junie to do a little overview of the certificate, we wanted to take a quick poll just to see where our goals and motivations land for our attendees. If you could take a couple of seconds to answer this poll for us. What motivated you most to consider this certificate? The options are career advancement, career change, skill building for a current role, personal interest, and others. So we'll leave that on for just a couple of more seconds. And if you could put in your choice, it provides really good feedback for us to provide to our team and also for our speakers today. All right, here are the results. So it looks like we've got career advancement, that's leading, followed by skill building for current role, and then career change and personal interest. So thank you again for sharing that with us. I will now invite Junie to provide a brief overview of the certificate. She's the academic coordinator and would like to share with us the presentation for the certificate. Go ahead, Junie.
Thanks, Mashura, and thank you everyone for taking the time to join us today. I think we're a little further ahead, but that's okay. I'll start from here. So my name is Junie Facey, and I've been an instructor at TMU in the Chang School for about 14 years. And my career has been in the nonprofit sector for almost 30. And my post-secondary education started with courses at the Chang School, and it eventually led to my undergraduate here at TMU. And now today I get to talk to you about the program that I've been involved in for the last 14 years. So, quick facts about the program. The Nonprofit and Voluntary Sector Management Program has been the first interdisciplinary voluntary sector and nonprofit management certificate program in Canada. It was launched in 1998. The 8 courses in the program can be completed in as little as 8 months to a maximum of 5 years. And to keep the program current, we continuously review and refresh courses, and we stay plugged in to industry needs and sought after skills by having a program advisory committee that includes professionals from the nonprofit sector. Next slide, please. Thank you, Randall. Some of the trends and emerging opportunities that we see include that Canada's nonprofit operates locally and globally. The charitable sector in Canada is the largest in North America and second largest in the world to the Netherlands. And it contributes about 151 billion to Canada's GDP each year, which is more than finance, gas, and oil industries. With 170,000 organizations, the career opportunities are endless. Next slide, please. So, who should take this program? The program is for professionals already involved in the sector. And just like you identified as your number one poll, career advancement. So, people who want to make an impact, like emerging leaders, emerging founders, people transitioning in their careers, undergraduates, and people from the public and private sectors, as well as wanting to learn more about the nonprofit sector and how to effectively lead in it. Next slide, please. Career paths are local, national, and international nonprofits and charities, sector-wide and associations, government, and corporate social responsibility. Next slide. By completing the certificate, you will master practices and sector dynamics. You will develop skills in financial management, evaluation, strategic planning, and marketing. You will enhance your leadership, advocacy, and government relations expertise. You'll promote effective governance strategies and equity, diversity, and inclusion. You'll gain insight on Canada's international NGOs, and you'll understand and critically reflect on key issues and opportunities. Next slide, please. The program does not offer job placement or practicum experience, while it also does not include a process to directly connect you to a job. Current and past learners have expressed that the learning in the program has helped them transition their careers. The program is designed to provide you with critical thinking skills and opportunities to apply that learning, example, to case studies, project-based assignments, and posted discussions with peers. Next slide, please. As I mentioned before, there are 8 courses. 4 are required and 4 are from a large list of electives that you can choose from. You need to complete an average of about 60% to complete the program. Next slide, please. So I'm going to explain all of these numbers. So 900 and 901, and you can see there's little stars beside those, as well as 902 and 920. Those are what we call, and also 915 are 4 core courses, although 902 and I believe 915, you can choose one or the other as your core course. So 900 is what we call our Understanding the Nonprofit Sector. And 901 is Effective Nonprofit Organizations. And we'd like you to start the program with those courses. And then you are able to take any of the rest of these courses that you see in this group in any order. 902 is Evaluation for Nonprofits. 910 is Strategic Planning. 911 is Advocacy and Government Relations. 912 is Marketing. 913 is Leadership. 914 is Diversity. 915 is Financial Management. And 916 is Nonprofits in the Global Stage. The last course that we'd like you to take is a core course, and it is 920, and it is Critical Issues in the Nonprofit. Next slide, please. And there ends what I am presenting. Back over to you, Monsieur.
Thank you so much, Junie, for providing that overview of the certificate. Really helps our attendees with that comprehensive explanation what the certificate is all about. And yes, please go ahead and enroll if you're interested. Now it's my pleasure to introduce Ben Liatsky, course instructor at the Chang School and program manager at the Counseling Foundation of Canada, and also a research consultant at Taylor Newberry Consulting. Welcome, Ben.
Thanks, Mashur, and hello, everyone. So my name is Ben, as Mashur mentioned. I teach the CINP 902 Evaluation for Nonprofits course. I've been in the nonprofit sector for 16 years now. So I started actually working for an environmental advocacy organization, and today I work on the other side as in a grant-making foundation supporting career development, and also do some part-time evaluation work as a consultant for the past 8 years. So over my time, I've worked with a lot of different people from a lot of different nonprofits, got to know the sector really well from a bunch of different angles. And what always impresses me is the diversity of the sector and the people who work in it. These are highly skilled, passionate people who want to serve their community. And I've always am impressed, when I meet people who always have a different story about how they got into the sector and what motivates them. If you ever want a good kind of career story, talk to someone who's worked in the nonprofit sector. And in my experience as an instructor, as someone who's been a practitioner of evaluation, evaluation is one of the key ingredients for any successful nonprofit. Working in a nonprofit, it's about more than just doing work that feels good. Increasingly so, nonprofits need to be able to say and show evidence that what they do matters. Donors want to know how their dollars are being spent. Boards of directors want to know that the work of the organization is leading towards their mission. Staff want to know that what they're doing is effective and that they're making a difference. And the people who benefit, who participate in the programs, attend the events and workshops, receive services or training, they want to know that they're getting high quality and useful support. So my course, it's not a technical course, it's not a statistics course, there's no textbook, there's no manual. We use a variety of different learning methods. So there's case studies, there's articles, there's activities to explore different ways in which evaluation can and does connect to nonprofits. So, we're focused more on issues like, how do we know what questions are important to ask in evaluation? How do we navigate some ethical issues around data collection? How do we use evaluation to engage with the community we serve? So it's really a holistic course that's meant to think about what's going on in the sector with regard to evaluation, as well as in your own organization or an organization you might be connected to in the future. What do you need to know to manage that process? What questions do you need to ask? Where do you go to learn more? And I've also seen, over my time teaching this course, the variety of different people that have been in the class. Some people have zero experience. It's their first time thinking about evaluation. And I've also had senior leaders looking to upgrade some skills or learn a little bit more about this thing called evaluation. And the beauty is all these people together in the course using our online discussion forum get to learn from one another, get to share their experience. Even if you haven't worked in a nonprofit before, I can guarantee you've probably done some form of evaluation before. I like to use the example of, going to the grocery store and going down the cookie aisle and thinking, what kind of cookies do I like to buy? And you might ask yourself a few questions. Well, what did I buy last time? What's the cost of this one? What ingredients are this? Is this a healthier cookie or an unhealthy cookie? Do I care? All of these are important questions. All of these bring in data. So anyone can do it. It requires curiosity, and that's sort of the key ingredient. So to wrap up, you saw some statistics that Junie shared about the nonprofit sector. But what I really want to encourage you to think about is to go beyond those numbers and to really think about that diversity. Nonprofits are in every single community in this country. They're museums and art galleries. They are recreation soccer leagues. They are food banks and farmers. They are employment service providers. They are environmental advocates and conservationists. They are housing and healthcare providers. I could go on and on and on. And increasingly, nonprofits are called upon to provide vital services and supports and help ensure that our communities thrive. So there's more demand than ever for this work. It really is a people-driven sector. And I think it's the goal of my course, and as well as the certificate program, to help ensure that the sector continues to be led by smart, passionate people. So I'll stop there and thank you for listening.
Love that. Thank you so much, Ben, for sharing that unique perspective that is from your end with our prospective students today. So that ends the presentation portion of today's session. We will now open the floor to everyone for Q&A. Thank you all who've already put in some questions. So we'll dive right in. I know we've had a couple of questions regarding the flexibility of the program, how long you can take to finish it, if you can complete it within 5 semesters. And our client services representative, who's also on the call, Safia, has answered them. But is there anything else that you'd like to add to that, Junie, in terms of, how long someone can take to finish it? How many courses can they take per semester, or what is the recommended pathway?
I think people need to know what works for them, but to be really fully engaged, maybe 2 courses at the same time, I would say might be the max. But definitely, people need to do what works for them and what their schedule allows. You don't want to have lots of exams at the same time. So, planning for that time. But the program is designed to be completed in as little as 5 months. We said 5 months, right? 5 months. Oh my gosh.
Awesome.
Did we say 5 months? No, 5 years. Oh my gosh, sorry. 8 months. 8 months.
8 months. Yes, 8 months
8 months.
to 1.5 years on
Yes.
average, and then 5 years is the
Yes.
time.
So it means that you could take up to 4 courses at the same time.
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks for sharing
Mhm.
that. Next question is from Joffrey. Thank you so much for your question. And the question is, I live in Ottawa, and reviewing the courses notes that some attendance requirements are in Toronto. Is there a way to complete the program without going to Toronto?
Mhm. So we advertise the program as being online because all of the courses are offered online. I think financial management is one of the courses that we do offer as a hybrid, but it is still also offered fully online. And we do have students who are from all over Canada attending.
Awesome. Thank you so much for clarifying that for our learners. Okay, next question is from Sana. Thank you so much for your question again. Um, if you're employed within the sector for a while, I think they're studying as a PhD student here at TMU. Are you eligible to take specific courses outside of the recommended order and prerequisites? For instance, if there are specific gaps in my knowledge around financial management, can they take it in that order?
The last part of the question I didn't hear. So if there's particular gaps in
And
financial
yeah,
management, and what was the ending of that question?
for instance, if there are specific gaps in my knowledge around financial management. So basically, they want to know, are they eligible to take the courses outside of the recommended order and prerequisites? So maybe they just want to take the financial management course.
Yes. So yes, people do enroll in just any one of our courses. You don't need to be registered for the certificate. In fact, I think you can start the program and take a few courses before actually enrolling in the certificate, uh, just in case you started, you took a couple, and you're like, wow, you know what? I could continue and I could get a certificate out of this. So, yes, we do enable that.
Awesome, thank you. And then along the same topic, sort of, is can you finish your undergrad while taking this certificate program? So I think that's a
Hmm.
yes, short answer, but
Absolutely.
yes, go ahead.
Yes. Yeah. So we do have specific undergraduate programs that uh, there's interest in taking courses that are aligned with the certificate program or completing the certificate program alongside. But it's definitely open to anyone who is interested. And because it's offered through the Chang School, it means that uh, the courses are offered online and outside of the day program, undergraduate program schedule.
So next question actually we got is why is a fundraising course not included as an optional course in the
Mhm.
certificate? And yeah,
Earlier, I mentioned that we are constantly reviewing the program and refreshing courses, and that we are plugged in to industry needs and skills that are required through the help of a program advisory committee. And one of the most recent recommendations was that for us to have a fundraising course. And so we are working on that recommendation to uh, see how do we incorporate that into the program.
all right, brilliant. Yeah, thank you for that. And then do students get hands-on experience creating grant proposals, donor communications, or fundraising plans? Maybe Ben can also touch on this, but Junie, you can start.
I'll let Ben answer just because the
Yeah, Ben, go
practical
ahead.
side of a course, it's not exactly relevant to the specific skill set that was asked in the question, but I think Ben can speak to the way that assignments and activities are designed in at least the course he's in.
Sure. So in the evaluation course, there's a couple ways that this shows up. One is in the assignment. So over the course of the semester, you'll work to develop an evaluation plan. So it's very common if you're going to start an evaluation, you don't just jump right in. You need to sort of map out some of the key steps, like who's going to be involved, what resources need to be there, when are you going to kind of have your touch points with different stakeholders to make sure everyone's involved. So it's less of like an essay and more of a something you would do in the real world, mixed in because it's with the university, you still have to cite sources and use course content. But it's a very sort of practical tool that you could foresee using in the real world situation. Aside from that, there's also activities that we use in the discussion forums where we'll sometimes ask students to do specific things. So one is to use a tool in evaluation called a logic model or a theory of change, and we'll work through that with you in the course content to sort of understand what its purpose is and how to design it. And again, this is a real world tool. It's not necessarily something that you have to use or would necessarily be appropriate in every situation, but it's a common tool that you might find yourself using. And so there's examples like that that are not done for your grade, but it's more an opportunity. There's templates, there's exercises, and there's the discussion forum where we can kind of work through them.
Great, that's very
Thanks, Ben.
helpful.
And then I'll just add to that in addition to opportunities to actually practice the skills with hands-on tools, there's also analysis opportunities through a number of case studies and the articles that we are connected to see, what's the best practice that's out there.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing that. Okay, next is Selena. Question from Selena. Thank you so much for your question is, are there opportunities for mentorship from the instructors to review your business plan for a nonprofit idea? So Ben, maybe you can start with this one.
I think Ben's frozen.
Oh, we might have lost Ben for a bit, but yeah, Junie, maybe
Yeah.
if there is anything that you can add for this.
hmm I think the specific mentorship for a personal business plan would be something that an instructor would have the option to choose whether they are available for that. But I think that the skills and what you're exposed to in the program would allow you to try out different skills and different tools and get the information through that feedback. We also have a discussion forum, which is a required component of the program in every course. And that's an opportunity to connect with peers on specific learning throughout the course, module by module, uh, getting feedback from each other, getting feedback from the instructor, so that it's an active learning space.
Awesome. No, thank you for that. And yeah, hopefully we will get Ben back soon and then we can return to that question. Okay, so are students introduced to tools commonly used in the sector, example, CRM systems or donor management softwares?
So the donor management would be related to fundraising, and we don't have that course just yet. But yes, we would be introducing tools that are commonly used, and they would be samples, not necessarily the best tools or the only tools, but the exposure to some tools.
So yeah, moving right along. What practical skills will someone walk away with that are directly applicable to nonprofit roles today?
I think we tried to answer that in my component of the presentation, but if I were to uh, summarize it, it would be the learning of each of the courses. So practical skills in marketing, practical skills in financial management, practical skills in leadership, practical skills in strategic planning, practical skills in what it means to work or operate a nonprofit organization, practical skills in working in national or an international nonprofit organization, as well as an overarching around critical thinking skills in how to maneuver those skills from a critical lens.
Beautiful, thank you. So just a quick update. Ben just let me know that he lost his connection and there he is. He's back. Welcome back, Ben.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I lost my internet.
It's all good.
Yeah.
I don't know if you got to catch the last part of that question from Selena. We wanted to go back to that, which is, are there opportunities for mentorship from the instructors to review your business plan for a nonprofit idea?
Yeah, absolutely happy to chat and offer assistance where I can. I think that's probably true for all of your instructors. My passion is the nonprofit sector. I've made my career out of it. I've learned a lot in my time. I can't say I know everything, but even if I can't, directly answer your question of a business plan, I might know someone that can. So it never hurts to ask, and I would encourage any of my students to reach out if they have questions.
Great. Next question is for you as well. What experiences or skills are most valuable in helping build a career in this sector? You know, what would make you stand out?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of different ways to get in the sector, and everyone will have a slightly different story to share. Volunteerism is a great way to get started, a great way to learn different skills, to meet lots of different people, and to see that as also a pathway into getting mentorship in different roles. So I think it starts with, what are you passionate about to determine within the nonprofit sector, are you interested in food security? Are you interested in the environment? Are you interested in social services? That to me is sort of the first step. Um, I think there's some, transferable skills across those things that are also really important. Things like, strong communication skills, good kind of project management and time management skills. Some of the things that would apply whether you're in a nonprofit or somewhere else, are just sort of key. I think those are underappreciated things, but help things, move along, show that you are competent and can, achieve goals and advance tasks. And then I think as you advance in your career, there's opportunities to, grow in some of the things like governance and understanding, how to support others in your organization and how to make sure that, there's policies and plans in place to action a program idea and take something from an idea to implementation. Um, so, you know, giving you a lot there, but I think in terms of transferable things, I would say, good communication skills, good project management skills, good time management skills are some of the key things to get started. And there's lots of ways that you can, begin to address those.
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks for sharing that. Okay, next question is what emerging trends in the nonprofit sector are reflected in the curriculum, like artificial intelligence? Is there anything like that?
So that's actually one of the other areas that our recent program advisory had given feedback on. And so that's another area that we're looking at. Uh, the nonprofit sector and the trends in terms of the type of leadership that's required today, that is a constant area that we have the pulse on, and we're continuously looking at how do we ensure that we enhance each of the courses so that they are providing the most relevant and most recent information. I think maybe 3 to 4 years, every course gets a refresh of sorts.
Awesome. Ben, is there anything you'd like to add to that?
Yeah, just in terms of evaluation specifically, it's its own diverse field. There's lots of practitioners and researchers out there that are constantly developing new ways of thinking and tools and that sort of thing. And even within AI, you'll now find AI specific tools to help with developing logic models or evaluation plans. So, it's something that I keep an eye on as well. It's something that you can begin to find some information in the course around what are the applications of AI to evaluation and within that, the nonprofit sector in particular. Um, so I think it is very practical focused in nature. We're not an academic only program that's about academics for the sake of academics. It's designed to give you practical skills to be able to enter the workforce in the nonprofit sector.
That's really good advice. Thank you. Does the courses include any practical assignment using real community data? Yeah, go ahead.
And that would be where we use some of our case studies opportunities, uh, stories of organizations that have experienced similar things that are based on the topic area that we're trying to teach, and providing the opportunity to review that, to analyze that, to interpret that, and to apply the learning from the course modules.
Yeah, just echoing that, in my course, we'll look at evaluation reports that real organizations have developed that are publicly available. We'll ask you to go on to do a little research into visiting some websites of different organizations and, pick out what you think are strong and what could be improved. There are case studies that are used. There's just so much data out there. It'd be a shame not to use it. So I think we're very conscious of trying to give you as much real kind of real life experiences that we can.
And
Are you
I'll
able
just
to?
squeeze in, sorry, Masha, just squeezing in that all of our instructors in the certificate program are actively engaged professionals in the nonprofit sector. And so we do have the currency of their experience in the subject matter area that they are teaching in
Are you
to
able
bring
to
those
provide an
stories.
example?
Well, we have Ben. We have myself. I work outside of TMU. I have worked in the nonprofit sector for over 30 years in senior leadership roles for almost all of the 30 years, uh, developing courses, teaching courses, and also managing programs that are in the sector, in diverse sectors, in different types of organizations, and being able to bring that experience into how I approach what I am sharing in my teaching.
Right. And for Ben, I know you said you in your course look at available evaluate reports that are available publicly now. Are you able to share an example of that?
Yeah, I mean, lots of times organizations will do an evaluation for a program and uh, they'll share that on their website. So um, we've got, I'm a little bit hesitant because our exam is coming up, and that's one of the things we're asking the students to do. So I don't want to like name the organization because that might give it away. But there's organizations you can go to if you look at sort of some of the bigger ones like YMCA's, for instance. There's a good chance if you dig around, sometimes it'll be under a menu item called impact. Sometimes it'll be under a menu item of resources or reports. And you can look at what an evaluation report looks like. So, or even if you Google nonprofit evaluation in Ontario, you'll see a whole bunch of examples from different organizations. Um, Reports are one way that evaluation shows up. There are other ways that you can do evaluation without writing a long report. I think that's one of the things that I want to be careful that evaluation isn't just about writing a report at the end. There's a whole bunch of other elements to it that have value beyond just a written long document.
Brilliant. I guess this is more a generic question from someone is how has the nonprofit sector changed over the last 5 to 10 years?
Mhm. It's a great question.
It's a great question. Well, we see competition for resources being something that is not what we want to be dealing with, but we need to be because there are less resources available and greater need in the community. There's an increased need to demonstrate impact, which Ben's course, looking at evaluation. So, needing to demonstrate that you are making good use of the limited resources that you have, and how are you ensuring that there's value to the community. I think another area is around the fact that we know that we are working with diverse communities and the need to demonstrate how are we ensuring that our services are aware, responsive, and accessible. What else? Adaptable. I think more than anything else, the sector is requiring us to be adaptable, and whatever ways we have learned to operate in the sector before, they may not necessarily be the only way or the way. And so the constant need to be learning, the constant need to be connecting with others. So partnership, I think, is also key. No one organization can figure out the solutions, especially the impact solutions on their own. So finding ways to work collaboratively while also competing for resources, um, and ensuring that, we're remembering what's the mission and the vision and the values of the organization, and how are we striving to achieve that in the best way possible.
Yeah, I echo all of that. I think there's trends sort of happening to the nonprofit sector, and then there's trends happening within the nonprofit sector. So what I mean by that is um, there's been some research from organizations like the Ontario Nonprofit Network and Magic Canada that show that there's an increased demand for services. There's more pressure on nonprofits to serve more people, to deliver more um, proof of their impact. So there's that side of the equation. And then also within the sector, I think one of the reasons why I like being part of this particular program as an instructor is I've seen more need for high quality, well-trained, um, diversity of experiences and inclusive of lived experiences, people who work within the sector. It's a job that you often find yourself wearing a lot of hats. A lot of nonprofits don't have a lot of staff. So, I work in a team of three in my day job. When I'm doing my consulting work, I'm often doing that sometimes alone, sometimes in partnership
One,
with
yes.
one or two other people.
Yeah.
So you do need to know a lot about a lot of different things in the nonprofit sector, and that's not meant to be um, something to be afraid of, but I think it's an opportunity to learn a little bit of a lot of different things. And I think that's where the fun is. You get to meet a lot of different people and you get to learn a lot of different things. And courses like this help you to get that broad range of experiences to understanding of what's required to work in a nonprofit.
I love that. Thank you both for sharing that. Okay, so I know we are almost at time, but I think we can take one more question, which is how is this certificate different from the fundraising certificate that we also offer?
I'm 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 laughing a little bit because we used to present both of them together and decided we're only talking about one of them at a time so that we don't have this question and we still got it. So, uh, basic response would just be that the fundraising is focused on fundraising, and uh, that is still an area for us to incorporate if we do into this certificate program. Uh, this program is a broader scope look at different skills and areas of importance in the nonprofit sector.
Brilliant. Ben, anything to add to that?
No, I think Junie covered that one.
All right, great. So yeah, we are almost at time and we don't have any more open questions. Thank you to the both of you and also to our client representative here, Safia, for answering. We've had over 20 questions and I think they were great conversation. As
And
I,
thank you, Randall,
yes,
for
thank you,
moving my
Randall, for
slides.
playing
Yeah.
the slides. As I do my closing remarks, I wanted to do one more quick poll with everyone that's present here. Once again, this will really help us provide feedback to our team is how likely are you to take a course from this certificate? So yeah, while you answer that, I wanted to thank our presenters and speakers and all of you for taking the time to join our session during lunchtime on a Friday. And if you're interested in more information about the certificate presented, please visit our website at continuing.torontomu.ca. And if you have any other questions, you can contact me directly at mash.chaudhry@torontomu.ca. The information that we shared and the recording of this session will be sent to you in a follow-up email with a survey within the next 24 to 48 hours. And on behalf of the Shank School and all of our speakers and presenters today, thank you for joining us. Have a great rest of the day.